Hello, we're going to talk about Chapter 3. In Chapter 3, we're going to look at measures of central tendencies, including the mean and median. The median of a curve is the equal-areas point, the point that divides the area under the curve in half. So with the median, you put all the values or observations in order, let's say from lowest to highest, and it would be the observation in the center. So for example, if you had an odd number of observations, you would circle the center number. If there was an even number of observations, it would be between the middle two. You would take the average of those two. Now the mean is also a measure of central tendency. It just does it a little differently. With the mean of a curve is the balance point at which the curve would balance if it was made out of a solid material. So for example, the mean, you would add up all the observations and divide by how many there are. So if your data is symmetric, the mean, median, mode would pretty much be in the same place. If your data was skewed to the left or skewed to the right, notice there's a change. The median, always in the center. But the mean moves towards the drag. So an example would be, if everyone in the class did really well, but then a few students did poorly on a test, the mean would move towards those low grades. But if everyone did poorly on the test, and a few people did well on the test, notice the mean moves towards, those are being pulled towards those higher grades. So there are some differences, but they're both good. They're both measures of central tendency. But what we say is, if the data is symmetric, we prefer to use the mean with the standard deviation. If the data is skewed because the mean moves, we say we prefer to use the median and then with something called the 5-number summary, which we'll learn. So let's go ahead and look at some data. So let's talk about the mean first. Okay, so like we said, the mean is where you add up all the observations and divide by how many there are. So we can put that in symbol form here. So the symbol for mean is x bar, x with a bar over it, and that is the summation, big E, of all your observations, and then divide by how many n observations you have. So we have some real data here. Here's Michael Jordan for 15 seasons. And if we were doing this by hand, we would add up all the observations and divide by 15. So his average per season is 2,152.8 points. Okay? But we can also do this in the calculator. So notice you have some step-by-step on how to do this in the calculator. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through that. And there are two ways to do it. I'm going to go ahead and show you both. So here's the calculator. And what we're going to do is we're going to first enter Michael Jordan's data. Now I went ahead and did this for you already, but I'll just remind you on how to do it. So we turn the calculator on. Here we go to Stat, number 1 for Edit. And then notice I've already put Michael Jordan's scores in list 1. So remember, Michael Jordan is in list 1. Okay? Now before we do all this, I'm going to go ahead and show you two ways on how to find the mean, but I'm not going to do it from this screen. I'm going to start at the home screen. So step 1, put the data in the calculator. Now I'm going to hit second mode to quit, go back to the home screen. Now from the home screen, here's one way to find mean. If you hit second stat, go to the right for math, notice we can find many things, including the mean and the median. So let's find the mean first, number 3. Now we put Michael Jordan in list 1, so that's second 1 for list 1, close the parenthesis. The mean for Michael Jordan is 2,152.8. Now, since we're already here, I'm going to go ahead and do the median as well. So if I did second stat, over to math, but this time choose number 4 for median of list 1, second 1, close parenthesis. We can also find the median for Michael Jordan as well. Now that's one way if you specifically want to find the mean or specifically want to find the median. Now another way is to find everything at once. So here's method 2. So we go back to my calculator. Again, we've already entered the data in list 1, and we're starting at the home screen. If I hit stat, not second stat, just stat, to the right for calculate, choose number 1 for one variable statistics. Then I need to tell it what list we're in. So we have list 1, second 1, push enter, bunch of things come up. And all these are important. We'll kind of talk about them over time. But X bar, would be your mean. We talked about that symbol, 2,152.8. There's that summation. We talked about if you add up all your observations. Then there's some other things we'll talk about, and your number of observations. And if you scroll down, we have these, which we'll talk about later as the 5-number summary, but you'll find your median as well in there. So again, 2 ways to do it. So I'm going to hit clear. We're going to scroll down, and we're going to do the same thing for Kobe Bryant. But actually, before we do Kobe Bryant, let's do a little review on how to make a histogram. So I can also make a histogram of the data by doing second y equals, go into plot 1, turn it on, choose histogram, enter, Michael Jordan's in list 1, second 1. Now frequency we'll leave at 1, and then we're going to move it up, 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 and then to do a standard window we'll do zoom down to 9, zoom stat, and there's our histogram. Now the reason why I'm doing this is we can look at it. We can also hit trace. We can draw and label. It starts at 408, goes to 934.6, there's 2. So we can label along the way. But when we look at this, we can talk about what shape it is. So that would probably be our first step in saying, okay, what shape is our data? This would be skewed to the left, and we said we prefer to use median in this case, when it's skewed to the left or skewed to the right, as our measure of central tendency. So there's your histogram. As a review, you should know how to do that. And then we're going to practice all of that again with Kobe Bryant. Okay, so here we have Kobe Bryant, and we're going to go ahead and do all of that again. So I'm going to go to the calculator, start at the home screen, second mode, starting at the home screen. We're going to enter the data in, so stat edit, number 1. In list 2 now, we're using all of our list. We're going to put Kobe Bryant, and we're going to start with making a histogram to see what the data looks like. So step 1, put the data in the calculator. Step 2, we're going to make a histogram. So I go to second y equals. I'm only using one plot because I'm doing one graph. So I go back into plot 1, turn it on, still have it as histogram, but this time we're doing list 2, second 2. Move it up, 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 zoom 9. There's your histogram. Notice with the histogram I can hit trace, and when I hit trace we can actually talk about each bar, and I actually have it here in your solutions. And if we look at it, if we had to determine a shape, I would say it's symmetric. The majority is in the center. Then we can talk about how to find the mean and median again. Remember, there are 2 ways to do that. From the home screen, second mode, we can do second stat. Over to math, we can do the mean, enter, of list 2, second 2, close parenthesis. Or we can do the median, second stat, over to math, median of list 2. Okay, so there's your mean and median. Or, if you prefer, we can do all of it at once by hitting stat, calculate, 1 variable statistics, of list 2, second 2. There would be your mean, and there would be your median. Okay? Now, we're going to scroll down and practice again. So we're going to scroll down, and we're going to talk about something called standard deviation and practice again. We're going to stop this video here, give you a little time, and then we'll pick up again.